Welcome to the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast, starring Q the Boss.
Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. They call me Q the Boss. In today's episode, we do this one on special occasions. We calling this one Ask Q. This one is involving you guys way more. You know, if y'all got a question, we talking about it. You know, things that's going on, politics. Nah, not too much politics. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really talk about that stuff. I think it's kind of corny, but it is what it is. You know, we got to deal with it. But today I'm going to start off with talking about this direct. Someone said, what advice would you give someone under 21? And I'm going to talk straight and honest. I prefer you to call in. Matter of fact, call in. Call in right now, 516-253-1150. I want to give you straight up advice. 516, all right, he's putting in the comments right now. Call in right now and ask that question. Don't be ashamed. Don't be shy. See that number right there? Let me pin this number real quick. I'm going to pin the number. Okay. And the episode today is called Ask Q. Ask me any question, guys. You know, as long as it ain't nothing weird, you know. But call in. It didn't come up yet. It still ain't come up. I see the call in. Give it a second, guys. It don't matter. I'm going to use this. Hold on. All right, so the comment is pinned. The number is there. Someone call in right now. That's our call-in number right now. 253-1150. Call in right now. Let's ask this question. Someone just asked, what advice would I give a 20-year-old? I want someone to understand this statement, and I want anyone in my life and everyone in my life to hear this. Patience. I genuinely believe that a lot of young people feel like they're missing out. And they build this FOMO, the fear of missing out. They think that if I don't enjoy life now, I'm not going to enjoy it later. And I'm like, listen, if you do what you got to do now, your life will be so much easier as you get older. But sometimes you're seeing people that are older, they're playing catch up for what they should have done when they were younger. I wish I can go back to my younger self and say that, yo, listen, youngster, knock out all the hard work now, right? And then later on, you're able to enjoy your life. There's a video, right? Watch this. So it was like 10 balls lined up and 10 balls lined up. There was two girls. So what the first girl did was she started grabbing the first ball and then running and put it in the bucket. The other girl ran all the way to the end, grabbed a deeper bucket and ran back. And as she started doing it, she got closer and closer and closer. But the girl that started like close, she ended up losing. Because if you do what's hard, it becomes easier. Always do the hard part first, right? So I would tell a younger 20-year-old to do the hard work. And later on, it'll become so much easier because of you knocking out the hard work. But if you don't do the hard work, you're going to have to do a lot later. There's a lot of people playing catch up right now. So I would definitely tell a young person to know how to save. Be adamant about your saving, right? Invest more than you waste, because a lot of young people waste a lot of money, especially older people too. They're just wasting money. There's a poll that went out the other day, said only 14% of Americans have over $100,000 saved for their retirement. 14%. So that means 86% of Americans don't have over $100,000 for retirement, right? Somebody asked me a question. Today we're asking questions. And you could call in also, 516-253-1150. Call in right now, 516-253-1150. We got over 100 and something people. There's no reason why we shouldn't have one call in. We got way too many people on live not to have a call in. Stop being shy. Somebody call in right now. But listen, when you're dealing with like a younger person, they think that they're missing out. I gotta chase. They want to put $1 and make $1 million overnight, and that's really the premise of them lack of knowledge of patience. You know, money is measured over time, and the wealthy are the ones that think long term. The broke are the ones that gamble in the moment. So they remain broke because they're gambling in the moment, right? And that's what I notice a lot of people do. They more so gamble, they don't invest. And by gambling, you're going to always be in a bad situation because you're not thinking long term. Every person that thinks long-term is the ones that are successful. Today I am where I am because of the long-term thinking, not because of my short-term thinking. The short-term mentality would never allow me to sustain getting to any levels of success. Because most cases it's like, okay, if you got somewhere fast, you wouldn't appreciate getting there. When you get there slow, you definitely appreciate getting there. You got the three, you got the elevator, the escalator, and you have the stairs. I'm the type of person that take the stairs because I think long-term. Because it always affects you later on when you get somewhere fast. Someone ask another question, right? But it's society, and it's systematically set up the way it is right now. When you're looking at people trying to figure themselves out, and a lot of the times you have someone who's actually playing from behind their whole life, but they're looking like they're a lot better than what they are because they've been using all this time to look like they're ahead. So you're spending more energy on trying to look like you're somewhere you're not and never getting to where you can be because you're already pretending to be there. So I would definitely tell the young people the average millionaire is over 60 years old. The average millionaire is over 60 years old. Young people think they're supposed to be millionaires overnight. You got a 30-year-old right now that's trying to give up on life when the average millionaire is late 50s to 60. You got a 40-year-old giving up on life right now, again, when the average millionaire is late 50s to 60, right? But this is something that we don't talk about. There are a lot of people that believe that they're not in the right position and they are. It's only the dreams, the admirations, and the goals that you have that you need to still chase, because staying ambitious is not because of the adult that you are. Staying ambitious is because you keep your inner child alive. When you look at a lot of adults, they don't keep their inner child alive, meaning that young person that's inside of you, that's the inspired person. But if you don't keep that person lighting the fire in your life, you're not going to continue to grow. Most older people are comfortable, stagnated, and comfortable. Think about it. If you meet an older person, when they're comfortable as hell, it's because they definitely have not kept their inner child fire lit. The inner child in them definitely has dwindled out. So therefore, they're not growing. They're not elevating. They're not learning, because that young person is what keeps you inspired. And by not keeping and preserving a relationship with your younger self, your older self will ultimately take over, making yourself stay old. You ever met somebody look like they're ready, got one foot in the grave? That's that person that doesn't believe that they can do anything more. They can't elevate. They can't grow. I think life is too hard for me. And life will remain hard because at the end of the day, it's going to remain hard because you always wanted to do what was easy. Someone ask another question, guys. Ask another question. If you got anything, you can ask it too. Make it more comfortable. Go ahead.
Question. So, on your way to chasing success and just getting to where you at, what are the emotions and things that you had to face?
I'll be honest with you, and this is me being fair. I've literally went and touched every emotion there is with chasing success. I met fear. I met depression. I met anxiety. I met regrets. I met second guessing. And then I'm gonna tell y'all something. As I started beating up fear, anxiety came and hit me in the back of my head, and they jumped me. So I got jumped by fear, anxiety, depression. So sometimes when these emotions come at once, I've been jumped a multitude of times by these emotions. But one thing I had to learn is how to control my emotions. Because you are the one that gives power to your fear. You the one that gives power to your anxiety. You the one that gives power to anything and everything that you have, right? And this is the issue. You know, when we sit down and we want ourselves to be elevated, to grow, we have to learn that this is where we at and where we stand. The premise. There will always be someone to attack someone that has value and virtue. When a person has no value, of course, you won't be attacked. But the devil only attacks those who he sees who has value. Like, he sends his minions on your live to even troll. He sends minions. You know, I don't like doing this whole boasty, braggy thing. I'm not into it. If you know me personally, you know me personally. I'm not really a very superficial person. I'm very, very, the word is very, very humble. I go in spaces Well, I'll talk to someone financially and they'll ask me, what do you do for a living? I never, ever in my life believed, well, I learned that it's not about what you do for a living, it's actually what you do with the resources from what you do for a living. Let me say that again. Life is never about what you do for a living. It's about what you do with the resources from what you do for a living. A lot of people think they don't make enough money. And I say, no, you don't behave good with the money that you're making at your level. So if you don't master the level you at, it won't allow you to go to the next level. So if you can master $10,000, then you can master $15,000. And if you can master $15,000, you can master $20,000. And if you can master $30,000, you can master $40,000. And as you start mastering these levels, you will ultimately start being allowed to go to new levels. Because a lot of people haven't surpassed certain levels because they haven't mastered those levels they're currently at. And that's the reality. Because you think that, oh, I'll get better with more money. No, you're going to get worse because money only exposes your bigger flaws. It make the flaw bigger. So if you were bad with little money, at least you had a little bit of problems. But if you bad with big money, you're going to have big problems. Think about it like this. If you got bills, you got to pay $1,000 a month. We say that's a small problem. But if you got a $20,000 mortgage a month, that's a big problem. To make up $20,000 in a month ain't no easy thing. So you have to master the levels you at. So therefore, when you're at the $500 a month, right, by the time you get to the $1,000 a month, you master that. And as you master that, then you so forth and so forth and so forth. And so by the time you realize that you've learned how to master the levels you at, ultimately moving on to the next level. You know, one guy, I said an analogy, watch this. Imagine playing a video game, right? And when you play the video game, you decide right now, you say, you know what? I'm done playing this video game. So say you stuck at level 5. You pause the game. You come back a week from now, right? And you start to play the game again. What level you got to start at again? You're still at level 5. That's how life operates. You don't get moved on to the next level, right? This is not No Child Get Left Behind like the school district. And life is not the school district, no child get left behind, right? You will get left behind if you don't master that level. The school district pushes people through. But life will not push you through unless you master the level, right? And a lot of us don't master levels, ultimately staying stagnated by the levels we're currently at. And then ultimately being discouraged, being beat up by life, and then just quitting. And that's what a lot of people do. You can look at some people, you can see that they have no more fighting them. They have no more fight. They've given up. Because again, they haven't lit that fire in them with that inner child. You have to stay very, very enthusiastic to your youth. You got to stay intact with them. Because if you don't stay intact with your youth, you're not going to be motivated with your future.
What would you say to somebody who's they don't have any more fire in them? They're depressed, they're down right now, especially with the times we're in. What would you say to them?
I would say, are you happy with your current positioning? And more than likely, they will say no. So then I'll say, why you haven't fought to get out of the position? Because I told you, life will fight you. And growing up, I told you I never laughed at people that couldn't fight. I always laughed at the person that didn't fight back. And if you look at life as a bully, right, and the bully, you never face that bully gonna keep picking on you. Until you face that bully, life is gonna keep picking on you. Because life don't have no level of reserve. It doesn't care. Because you wanna, right, oh my God, my life is so hard. And I'm like, listen, I understand it. But at the same time, you gotta be willing to say, you know what? It is what it is. I'm willing to face life. So I tell everybody in my life, you grab your shield, you grab your sword, and you go to war. You gotta go to war. Because life is not going to stop just because you keep whining. Life is not going to stop because you keep crying. Life is not going to stop because you say, oh my God, you're beating me up. You know, one day I told a guy, he said, do you think a woman could date a man that don't have money? And I said, yes. As long as he's pursuing his greatest version of self. So if he's chasing his goals, I genuinely believe she will respect him because he's adamant about his position and then changing it. But the one thing I always looked at is, you ever see that person that get into a fight? As soon as they get in a fight, they bowl into a fetal position and they just let life beat them up. That's the person that a woman won't stay with because she will naturally not respect a person like that. And life won't respect a person like that because, okay, I learned. In most cases, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Watch this. Life only learns what you do and ultimately beat you the same way every single time unless you learn something new to do. Watch this. Let's say every time you fight, you always throw the right punch, the right jab. Life like, oh, he gonna throw that jab. So you gotta do something that's abnormal to life, so life won't, like, damn, he stopped smoking. Damn, he's saving, she's saving. Damn, she's reading the Bible. Damn, he's meditating. Damn, he's in the gym now. See, when you start doing those things, it's equipping yourself to take on to the next level in life. And as you start doing better with those things, you'll be more equipped to take on the next chapters in life. See, think about it like this. When you start going to the gym, when you first start lifting, you don't lift a lot. But the more you lift, the more you start lifting. But again, if you don't keep lifting, you will never elevate. And the more you start elevating the weights, your mind start gaining strength too. Say a woman runs on a treadmill and she can run a mile. Now she gets to 2 miles. Now she gets to 3 miles. By the time you talk to this woman, her confidence has grown so much because of her levels of accomplishments. Because in life, if you don't challenge yourself and accomplish things, you're going to ultimately be comfortable in the position you are in. A lot of us are comfortable in poor positions. It doesn't matter about your start. Because if you blame your start on the fact that you've had 30 years to change your start, then you're the problem. 30 years to change your start and you're the problem. Damn. 30 years to change your problem, but you still want to stay and blame life as the problem. That's a level of ridiculousness. That's a level of delusion. That's a level of not holding himself accountable. That's a level of always pointing the finger. That's a level of never being the problem, but never asking yourself, why should I not focus on myself? I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to be honest with you. You have men bleeding on women, and you have women bleeding on men. And what I mean by bleeding is when they're in their worst position in their life, they ultimately find someone to bleed on. If a man is insecure, he would date someone that accommodates his insecurities, ultimately staying the same. And then vice versa. A woman and her insecurities will date a man who feeds her insecurities so she never fixes her insecurities, ultimately continuously bleeding on each other. We got to focus on what we need to do and understand that challenges, right, is everything. Challenges is everything. But if you don't embrace challenge, how can you ever embrace the realities of life? You have to embrace challenge. A lot of us are fearful of challenge. There's nothing wrong with being challenged because a person won't know their own strength. I watched the video, and this video was fire. I want y'all to hear this analogy. There was a mother, and the kid was walking, and there was like a rope. The mother grabbed the kid and picked him up over the rope, right? And the kid just kept walking with the mother, right? But when the kid met the rope, the kid started crying. And as the kid started crying, the mother ran back, picked up her child, and carried him over the rope. Same story happened, and it was a father. He saw the rope, and he realized that this is a moment when my son or my daughter needs to learn their own strength. So the father stepped over the rope. The son, at first, he got tangled in the rope. The father went back, took him out of the rope. I thought at first he was going to take the kid and put him over the rope. No, he put him back to the initial start. And then the kid, and then the father, this time he started walking far. And then he got about, let's say a little bit down, like a little way down. He sat on the bench and he waited. And the son ultimately figured out how to get past the rope and then catching up to his father. See, one thing I realized is that life is the rope. And a lot of us haven't figured out how to get over the rope, ultimately staying in the same positioning because we don't see that you may have got caught entangled into this rope, but yet and still, if you do not unwind yourself out of the starting bad that you've done before, you'll never be able to surpass that same rope. And this is what we need to understand. Life is about challenges. Life is about identifying challenges and accepting challenges and embracing it. Because I always tell somebody, you don't know if you can fight if you keep fighting people that can't fight. You don't know if you can fight if you keep fighting people that can't fight. So you assume you can fight. But if you think you tough and strong, why do you keep expecting life to be weak for you? Let me say that again. If you think you big, bad, and strong, why do you keep expecting life to be easy for you? That don't make no damn sense. You big, bad, and strong, but you want life to always be easy for you. So maybe you're not as big and bad and strong as you think you are. We talking logic. Someone call in right now, 516-253-1150. Call in right now, ask me a question. 516-253-1150. For years, I had to learn my own strengths. I used to be around people that used to say to me that you think you know it all. That's a defense mechanism based on the way they feel about themselves, right? Watch that statement. You think you know it all. I don't think I know it all. I know more than them. I'm not going to lie to you. I know way more than them. And the sad part is they want me to act like I don't know to make them feel superior to me, right? Which is crazy. You want me to act like I don't know something because you would feel inferior to what I know. That's a level of insecurity and a level of a narcissist that you're around. You have to be mindful. Same for myself. My wife always said that to me. I respect that. But again, you got to learn how not to dim yourself down. If you know, you know. And then there can be a level of arrogance when you say you know, right? You have to have a level of humility with you. You can't just come at a person because everyone can't, like I said, everyone wasn't taught to be able to take constructive criticism. Everyone wasn't taught to be able to be direct and vocal. Everyone is not taught like that. Most people, if you ask them, like, let's say if you get a random phone call, you get two family members on the phone. This is most people. I'm being honest with you. Let's just say two family members call you on the phone and ask you a question about the cousin you know that stink. And they be like, yo, don't Tyrone stink? You're going to be like, I don't even know. And the reason why you're going to say that because you don't want to get involved. But again, Tyrone's going to go on every day still stinking because you didn't have the level of confidence of being honest with Tyrone. This is why most people stay in their positioning. This is why they stay stuck. Because Tyrone going to go around people that will never tell him he stinks, but they will talk behind his back, but they'll never say it to his face. And in order for Tyrone to feel comfortable, he must stay around people that tell him that he's good and he's okay. That's what the culture has become. That's how the culture has become. And once you see that that's the premise, then you start realizing like, damn, people can't grow if they stay around people like that. Telling someone what they don't want to hear is the best thing you can do in order to fix their problem. It's the best thing you can do. Because over the long term, when they mature, they will understand what you did was right. Right? Listen, someone just said, I wish I recorded this. This podcast is always on social media. You can check it out. It's called Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. Don't let it go over your head. Don't miss the message. But like I say, we always want people to just accommodate our behaviors. I don't want no one to compliment my bad behaviors. I want someone that's going to compliment my good behaviors. Yeah, tell them.
So, you know, as human beings, we all want to be right at the end of the day. Like, we have that thing where we want to be right. What would you tell to that person who's trying to take constructive criticism, but it's just something in their spirit where it's hard for them? What is a good starting point to where they can take constructive criticism and get around the right people, get around the right crowd, and start expanding their horizons?
So you just said a question. You said a statement a minute ago. You said we always want to be right. But the question is, are you right? Just because you want to be right don't mean you're right. So anyone can be fact-checked. And if I can fact-check what your statement is, and I can prove you wrong, and you just stand in being right, still want to be right, then you're a narcissist, right? Because logic says, if I fact-check your statement, proved you wrong, and you just still want to argue, that means there's an insecurity within you. Because that means either A, you don't want to learn anything new, B, you think you know it all, or C, you just think you're perfect. And by that person having that mentality, that's a person I wouldn't even want to be around, but so much longer anyway. Because it's a very insecure, ignorant person. Ignorance will have you blindfolded from making the right decisions. Ignorance will have you making poor choices. Ignorance will have you lying to yourself. Ignorance will have you doing things that's actually putting yourself in bad positioning, but still blaming someone else, right? There's no level of accountability in this society today. Most people aren't accountable. So when you're dealing with an unaccountable person, it's just like, that ain't got nothing to do with me. That's you. So when you look at that person that you know you're right with, you got to say to yourself, why am I spending so much energy on trying to fix a person that thinks they're already healthy? An unhealthy mind can only makes another person unhealthy. That energy that you could be spending on trying to fix somebody, you could be spending with other people that's trying to build, people that's trying to grow, people that's trying to elevate, people that's comfortable with you articulating yourself and your thoughts. Because we can have a whole debate and still agree to disagree with taste and respectfulness, because that means we're both mature. If we sat down, you said a statement, I didn't agree with you, but yet and still I can understand your premise, your base, and what you're saying because of the level of listening and the willingness to understand. I might not agree with you, but to vocally just not try to hear you or just black out what you're saying, that's insecurity within self. That has nothing to do with us. That person needs to grow the hell up. It's just what it is. Because you should be able to sit in a setting with a multitude of people, and everyone's supposed to be able to ping pong ideas, and it makes sense, right? The other night I was laying in my bed and I thought of something based on the app, and I sent it to the group, right? But I was building with somebody and it triggered something. I said, yo, this is actually smart. And I was like, you know what? Let's do this rather than have to pay to do this and da-da-da-da-da-da. Cut costs. But again, if I didn't have this conversation with a person I was listening to, would I have been so open-minded to hearing? Because I'm gonna tell you something, your greatest ideas can come in your greatest conversations. And sometimes being around ignorance might give you a bowl like Bing, I don't wanna be around this ignorance no more. If you're comfortable being around ignorance because you're ignorant. If you're comfortable being around ignorant people because you're ignorant. Because I'm not comfortable being around ignorance. I go in rooms and say I don't belong here. Comfortably, I don't belong here. And the reason why I'm able to do that is because I'm willing to go where I belong. I don't force people to be what I am. Because when you know you're the one, right? When you know you're the one, it's not about you playing number two for nobody. When you know you're number one, there is no reason for you to play number two for nobody. And I say this with conviction, I'm him. A lot of people that get mad like, oh, he's arrogant. No, I'm him. I know I'm him. My life, my receipts and everything else back me to be him. Because coming from where I come from, I would say 98% of people are incarcerated, dead, or are just on drugs. 98% of the people where I'm from are incarcerated, dead, or on drugs. And I made it. And I didn't make it because of, I made it because I chose not to follow. It was a conscious decision. Most people coming from where I come from are dead, unalive, right? Incarcerated, or using a substance. But I've chosen to live above that to the point where I'm influencing people because of the fact that I decided that I won't follow the road that everyone's going down. I said, you know what? I'm going down the road that's less traveled because I knew that road was wrong. And again, when you learn that, most people like to keep up with the Joneses. And if you don't look like Jones to the person that want to keep up with the Joneses, they're not going to listen to you. Because sometimes it's not the message, it's the messenger. But there's a saying, and I want y'all to hear this. There's a saying, they said, a prophet is never loved or received in his own village. So your village, your family, your people you're around, you may be the prophet, the one that comes to, the prophet only means one who comes to deliver a message. One who comes to deliver a message. And if your family, let's just say you got 100 family members, and you that one family member that thinks outside of the box, that means that person is definitely the messenger for that family. He or she came to change the whole trajectory of that family. But to change the people in that family, in most cases, it won't work. But what will work is who that person marries and the children they procreate with that last name, changing the whole structure of the tree. Because you can move yourself and uproot yourself and ultimately plant your own seeds and build your own tree. So again, let's say like give me like a fruit, like an apple. Let's say an apple falls off a tree and it rolls 20 miles, right? 20 miles away from its origin. The seed in the apple ultimately takes root and start building its own tree. Yes, it is related to that tree that's 20 miles away from it, but it's no longer the same apple because the environment that new tree is in may be different conditions from where the old tree is. So now the tree takes root, it starts behaving and thinking different opposed to the old tree that it came from. And that's what a lot of people have to see. Like, you are the new fruit, right? You are the new fruit. And if you are the new fruit, you have to understand that it's not going to be easy for you. Because a lot of people are going to make it hard when you're woke, when you know who you are, you're conditioned to changing, you're growing, you're elevating. A lot of people they're not conducive for that. So you have to understand, in order for you to become the best version of you, you have to get comfortable with becoming that person. Because a lot of times you're going to talk yourself out of your own spot, where there's people around you that's not supporting you because you want your friends and family who only know you to be a certain way to support you no matter what, and that's not usually how it goes. Usually strangers will value you and appreciate you more. Someone said, but it doesn't have to be your own family and children. You can mentor in your community too. 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you. And that's what I do. That's why I don't force my village and my family. I don't force it anymore. When I say ignorance, I have it too in my family. Right? I have the ignorance. I have people who waste money and then count your pockets to accommodate their poor decisions. I'm going to give y'all a story, and I want you to hear this good. I'm going to wait till Tyler come back. I want you to hear this. Right? So when you're dealing with people who are ignorant, they only know how to be ignorant. So it's like you're trying to teach a language to someone that don't speak the same language. And I'm going to give you a scenario. And this is one of my boys. So he called me the other day. He said, yo, he had a sibling living in an apartment. Watch this. And I want y'all to answer this crazy story. Had a sibling living in an apartment. When the sibling had nowhere to live, he went out of his way to give the sibling somewhere to live. Asked the landlord, can you do me a favor? Can you give my family a place to stay? Because they don't have nowhere to go. The sibling and the family moves into the place, right? The person had a great relationship and a great rapport with the landlord to the point where, look at this, the landlord never charged them security, never charged them rent. He let the family just moves in. He said, no problem, just move in. I understand, I trust you. I know if you would never be asking for this if you didn't need me. The family stayed there. Ultimately, the head elder of the family, which was the mother, he took the mother, moved her out. So he left the cousins there and the brother there. Ultimately, when they stayed there, it became like pulling teeth every month with chasing them for the rent, knowing that by them not paying, it's only going to build a bad rapport with the landlord. So when he said to them, like, yo, I need y'all to pay on time because I put my name on the line when it comes to this relationship I got with the landlord. I don't want to create the bad blood with them. So every month, ducking, dodging, playing games, garbage, and more garbage. Fast forward, the brother decides he wants to leave the apartment, right? So the older brother said to the brother, like, yo, no problem if you want to leave the apartment, but I need you to get all your stuff out of the place so I can rent it to somebody else, right? So the person said, nah, no problem. I'm going to move it out. 3 months, like 2 months go by, don't move nothing out. He said, you got to pay. He pays. Then he comes to the second one. He said, yo, this stuff is still in the room. You got to pay. Oh, my God, you're trying to rip me off every month. You always asking for money. Da, 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 da. I said, this is crazy. I said, because you don't understand that if your stuff is still present, you are still responsible for that unit. So then you fast forward the third day, right? The third month, all he did was go into the apartment and took his stuff out of the room and put it up, aligned it against the wall in the apartment. So the person that moving out wants to leave their stuff still there, even though he doesn't live there anymore. If you don't say entitlement, if you don't say you're dealing with someone that feels so entitled, I don't know what we're dealing with, right? That's super entitled, right? Fast forward. He calls him. Yo, your stuff is still there. I got somebody that want to rent the apartment. Oh my God, all you want is money from me. Ah, da, 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 da. And mind this, I'm going to say this. Everyone knows your bills are due on the 1st. The first month he paid, the second month he paid, the third month he comes in on the 19th to start removing his stuff. The 19th. When you know it's like 10 days left in the month, right? To move the stuff. Still felt like he was right. I said to him, yo, bro, like, yo, you taking advantage. Flipped. It's crazy. Your own family would do you foul. And what I'm getting at is this in this story. When dealing with people who made up their mind, there's nothing you can do with them. It's like taking a drug addict and trying to force them to stop doing drugs. You can raise their awareness. You can have the conversation. But one thing I will say is in most cases, you can't do business with family who don't have the same mentality as you. Because we assume naturally just because they're family, we're supposed to be able to do business and help them out. There are some people that are in poverty, there are some people that are struggling, and there are some people that are homeless. And they're not homeless because of the fact that no one helped them. They're homeless because they burnt and did wrong by a lot of people. So sometimes when you look at people that's in bad situations, they're getting their karma. So they're getting their karma. So back to this guy never wanted to pay, left his stuff up there, and then started talking bad about the person that went out his way to put them in a place because of his insecurity. So what I'm getting at is the world is full of people who are very unaccountable. They make poor decisions, and they cannot see themselves in any situation. They're always going to be the victim even when they're not the victim. A person that's broke is not a victim. In most cases, those people live beyond their means. Let me say that again. Because you can take a Spanish woman that works at a laundromat, and she will make it make sense. But a lot of people that are broke is because they live beyond their means. They live way beyond their means, right? Because if you look at life, most people follow social media. They feel like they have to keep up with media, flexing. Look at how many people genuinely feel like they're supposed to go out to eat. But they're not proud that their refrigerator is full of food. Let me say that again. Look at how many people who are proud about going out to eat, but not proud of the food that's in their damn refrigerator. Look at how many people will celebrate going to a hotel, but not celebrate that they have a room to call their own. That's the culture. People are just so ungrateful. I think more people need to get out their little 5-block radius and go travel the world and see how other people live. And then you'll be grateful for how you are living. But you can't appreciate your circumstance until you start seeing other people's circumstance. Because again, you fly out. You get weighed on when you go to these countries, right? But you don't realize that a person over there working for $2 a day. $2 a day, right? And you crying about a $25, $30 an hour job. $2 a day, right? And when they go home, they living in like shacks. So you have to be logical. But a lot of people are just so uncomfortable with seeing other people's circumstances that they undervalue their own. When you watch other people's windows, you'll stop appreciating your window. When you keep watching other people's windows, you'll never appreciate your window. But when you start looking in your own window, you'll start appreciating your own window. Because you may see where you are. I know people right now that talk crazy but don't see that they're better fathers than their fathers was. I know people that talk crazy but they don't see that they're better mothers than their mothers was. There's a video, it shows the grandfather calling the son a bum, and the son calling the son a bigger bum, and then the next generation, the third generation, calling the next generation a bigger bum. By the time they get to the kid, the last kid, he believes that he's a bum. That's called generational trauma, generational curse, generational inheritance. You inherited a mentality because of the generations that wasn't healed before you. This is what our culture don't understand. There are people who are the way they are because of they coming from circumstances that they didn't choose. But you have to fight. Let's identify what our issues are so we can fix it. But if we constantly still playing the victim through life, we won't see that. We have to fix it. Your grandfather might have not been strong enough to hold his tongue. Your daddy might not have been long enough to hold his tongue. You might not be strong enough to hold your tongue. But now somebody got to hold their tongue. Otherwise, the next generation won't hold their tongue. And they'll continue to keep this same porous mentality going on for generations. We speak death into our children. We don't speak life. You tell your kid that they're a bum, but not realizing that your children will internalize that thought, now making that thought become their reality. And then they start projecting how that child feels on itself. If you ever notice that there is a child right now getting dropped at school right now by a parent who is telling a kid that you ain't gonna be nothing but like your damn daddy, and then you wonder why that kid had a disruptive day. Then you wonder why that kid had a disruptive day. Because mommy didn't say you're a handsome young man. I think the number one thing a parent should say is, nothing negative. They should say, I'm disappointed in you. I'm disappointed in you. I think that should be the number one way how you speak to your child. I'm disappointed with you. You can do better. I know you can do better. You can get the same feeling across by changing your vernacular, but if you don't educate yourself on how words make people feel, the Bible says there is life and death in the tongue. You can speak death on people or you can speak life on people. The way you speak to someone can mentally affect them. But again, we're going to act like this is not a normality. We're going to allow this to be the culture, ultimately projecting how we feel onto others and never elevating anybody.
So, speaking about our culture, what do you feel like is our main issue right now? I know a lot of us in our culture, for years, we all just been wanting to come together and build something. You look at all these other cultures, you look at Asians, you look at Indians, you look at whites, you look at all other cultures, they're building together, they're trying to, build for the next generation. What is stopping us right now from really coming together? Because we've been speaking on it for years, but it seems like it's not happening. So what do you feel like is a solution to that?
If you look at a glass, if I drop it and it's shattered into 1,000 pieces, what is the chances of you bringing that glass back to its origin? And that's what the black culture is. It's a piece of glass that's dropped and broken to 1,000 pieces, to the point where we're so broken that we only do hurtful things to each other because we don't want to see another one of our brothers or sisters elevate. You ever walk into a room full of people and never met them and look them in their face and say, I love you, and mean it to the bottom of your heart? I do it all the time. Because what happens is you have a person sitting there looking at you as an enemy without even knowing you. But then you got to kill that demon that's in them off the rip and say, yo, I love you. Brother, I don't want to hate you. I want to learn you. I want to know why you feel the way you feel. Sister, I want to know why you're so aggressive and so angry. When men say that these women are aggressive, we have to understand why they're aggressive. A lot of these women that you're seeing aggressive is because they come from a lot of trauma themselves. No one poured into these women. These women feel like they have no outlets also. A lot of these women are single parents raising boys and girls by themselves to the point where the level of frustration is there. Because naturally, women are supposed to be nurturing. But now you're taking away her nurturing ability and making her nothing but a provider, which brings out a lot of aggression. Because her back is hurting, her feet is hurting, she's tired, so she's mad. And that's what you see in the culture. Then you have a lot of men who are being raised by single mothers, who raise these boys very hypersensitive. And then you have a very sensitive boy who you expect him to be a leader. A leader can't be sensitive. You can have sensitive attributes, meaning understanding of logic. You know what, I feel sorry for this person. But a leader has to be willing to take life by the horns and be accountable. But usually a very, what do you say the word? I just said the word. A sensitive person, they usually always look for escapes. So there is no accountability now. And we're seeing the culture get worse and worse and worse. So if we don't start piecing back that glass, right, and bringing it back to its origin, because that's not where we stem from. We stem from people that work together. You had people, watch this, and I want y'all to hear this live. You had people in slavery who valued marriage so much that all they had to do was stand in front of a priest, hold hands, and jump over a broom, and that meant more than a damn piece of paper. And you want to hear something? They honored that goddamn broom jumping. You ever heard jump the broom? That's where that stems from. Because they weren't allowed to be legally married. So they were willing to jump the broom, and that meant everything to them two people opposed to anything else. But as a culture, we can walk down the aisle and say, I love you before God, and it means absolutely nothing. Because where there's no family, there's no wealth building. And where there's no family, there's no wealth building. There's no wealth where there's no family. They meet, they coexist. If there's no family, there's no wealth. And when there's no family, no wealth is being built at all. And that's naturally what it is. You don't see anyone building anything because everyone has this broken mentality. You have people who haven't even tried anything will tell you not to do something you've been doing for years because they're insecure about themselves. Projecting is real. When a person projects, it's because their level of insecurity. But if they don't identify themselves, what's wrong with themselves, they won't elevate because they won't learn. You can build strength by somebody that's strong. You can build knowledge by learning from someone that's knowledgeable. You can grow by being around someone that's growing. You can elevate by being around elevation. You can be dumb by being around a fool. You can be not logical by being around someone unlogical. You can be sensitive by being around someone hypersensitive. You can be a loser by staying around losers. So regardless of whatever, you can teach either way. Whether the positive or the negative, one can learn. And we talking about humans. We talking about humans. But if we don't identify our issues, we're going to keep projecting our issues onto others. There are people right now who are so sensitive that even if something they've done bothered you, you're not even allowed to tell them. Damn. Listen to that statement. We're in a culture of people that even if they do something to you, they're so sensitive that you can't even tell them what they did that bothers you. And this is where we at. I sit every day and pray for the day that we wake up. Because a person could be every bit of so woke, but still so asleep. A person could be alive, but don't mean they're living. A person could smile, but don't mean they're happy. A person could look rich, but still be broke. And that's what we're seeing that we're mastering. You ever had somebody, and I want you to hear this good, you ever ask somebody how you feeling? What they naturally say, I'm good, knowing they're not. And that's what we got to get past. I'm all right. There's another way. And if we don't get past being honest with ourselves, we're going to keep lying to ourselves. You have people right now you'll go to and say, yo, how you feeling? I'm all right. I'm good. Because you've been taught to not be vulnerable. You've been taught that it's weak if you express what you're going through. One thing about the human brain, the more you harbor feelings, the more it will come out in rage and anger. When you see somebody going off the reservation, you better believe that's been going on for a while. That didn't start today. So if somebody yelling, oh my God, he's yelling so much, it's been underlying issues that wasn't addressed. But I told you, you can have a person that can do something to you, affect you, and go to them and tell them how you feel, and they still won't be receptive of it. Because automatically they're going to internalize the conversation. It's about how the conversation made me feel. But you're not thinking about how you made that other person feel that's bringing you the conversation. But as I said, unhealthy people only know how to be unhealthy. And until we learn how to get back healthy, we're going to continue to bleed on each other. Somebody ask a question right now. You got any questions? Ask a question. I appreciate that, Deborah. Somebody said good stuff. Anybody got a question? I'm reading the comments right now. I appreciate everybody for jumping on this live today with me. This is Ask Q today. Ask me a question, anybody. Anybody said anything? I appreciate the follow. Deborah. Okay. Deborah, sorry. Deborah. All right. Anybody got no questions? Someone call in right now, 516-253-1150. Someone said I need to go live more often. I do, Olivia. I'm gonna try more often. Hit on that bell notification so I can start going live more. And when I go live, it'll notify you that I'm live. But I realize that coming on this thing is not about hurting feelings. Sometimes people see my content, they be like, damn, this video is about women. I'm like, if you go watch the last 5, it was about men. Now this next 5 is about to be about women, right? The album is actually complete. You know, I'm happy to, it's called Reality versus Delusion. As a matter of fact, before I get out of here tonight, I'm gonna play a track for you before we leave. I got a track. It's called I want to play the one that's complete already. It's called Comfort Zone. I want to play Comfort Zone. I'm gonna play Comfort Zone from the new album. The album is called Reality versus Delusion. For those who don't know, I'm a motivational speaker. I drop motivational speaking over tracks. The last album I did is called The Fear of the Unknown. You can check it out. It's fire. Great album. Takes you on a journey of emotions. But this new album is definitely better than the last one. It hits harder for me. I was more comfortable recording, and I learned how to be more vulnerable. Someone said, what city I'm in? I'm in New York. Someone call in right now, 516-253-1150, 516-253-1150. If anybody want to get me booked and bring me to their city, all you have to do is reach management. They will definitely get it set it up. I can come talk to your churches, talk to these institutions they taking me on the HBCU tour. I will be in a couple of the different HBCUs speaking. I realize that we give all of these people these platforms just because they can say they have credentials. But when you learn, right? I've met people that say they have a degree in psychology, but I have a PhD in trauma. I have a doctrine in childhood pain. I have a master's degree in fear. I've been through it all. So when you're able to express what you've been through, it's more relatable because you learned how to grow past this. It's like going to a former drug addict and learning how to get off of drugs. I'm the addict that learned how to get out of my feelings. I'm the addict that learned how to build and elevate. I'm the addict that learned how to get away from my fear. I'm the addict that learned how to get out of my insecurities. I had to learn it. I didn't grow up with a father. I come from a single mother of 6, right? And the single mother of 6, I was taught how to be very emotional. So it came out in anger. I was one of the best football players in my town and never learned discipline. I was the kid they considered uncoachable because I wasn't coachable, right? I was a good athlete, but I wasn't coachable, right? And that's an issue when you're not coachable. But now I'm very coachable because I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to grow. Yeah, Tyler.
So just diverting from that topic, speaking on relationships today, just seeing everything that's going on with these relationships, toxic ones, non-toxic ones, successful ones, non-successful ones. What is a good way to improve communication in a relationship?
One way is, I'm gonna say this first. Most people think they're better mates than they actually are. Most people think they're better mates than they actually are. Most men think they're better men than they actually are. Most women think they're better mates than they are. What makes a person good in a relationship is the opposite sex that dates you. So when you look at a man that says that I'm a great man, are the women saying that you're a great man? If you say you're a great woman, would most men say you're a great woman? I think once we see the communication, what makes communication bad is because people automatically, they internalize the conversation. So rather than, let's say, for instance, I noticed most cases when I used to get into arguments with women I dated is when I was talking about somebody else's problem. Every time I go to my girl and talk to her about someone else's problem, it becomes our problem because she always personalized the conversation. So that's a level of porous of communication. But like I said, when there's not two parents there, people don't know how to communicate. When you see your mother and father have those conversations and no one go off the reservation, then you'll see that it's easier to learn how to do something that you've seen being done before you. But in most cases, you never saw it, so therefore you don't learn it. The other day, my boy asked this girl, and it was a dope question. He said, did you grow up with a wife? Your mother was a wife? She said, no. He said, have you ever been a wife? She said, no. He said, do you plan on being a wife? She said, yes. He said, my question is, how do you plan on being a wife when you're not learning how to be a wife? When none of your friends are wives? So how do you learn how to be good at something? This is my question. I'm asking men and women this question. How do you learn how to be a good husband when you're not around husbands and you don't come from a husband? How can you say you're a good wife when you don't come from a good wife? So how? So we asking a logical question. How can you be something you don't know how to be? That's like telling a monkey to bark like a dog. You can't do something that you don't learn. But if you unlearn it or be willing to learn, then you can become great at it.
What boundaries does a couple need to maintain to have a successful relationship? So boundaries, speaking on boundaries.
I think one of the main boundaries that a couple should have is definitely setting the to hear each other out. I think the moment you're not hearing each other out no more, you're automatically going to lose that relationship. Sometimes, and I'm going to say this to my ladies, women say that men cheat, but a lot of women don't never look into the reason into why men cheat. Sometimes men come back into that relationship after you told them the SMD, you call them a bum, you call them all of these names, and then you expect it to just go back to normal. See, I'm going to tell you something. The only time a relationship goes back to normal with a woman is when a woman is not the victim. When a woman is a victim, in most cases, the woman do not go back to normal. Because in most cases, a woman will bring up anything that you've been through in a relationship when she gets angry. But naturally, with a man, when he decides to move on from a problem they had in a relationship, a man usually moves on if he knows he can forgive. But if a man can't forgive, he would rather move on. But women will stay in a relationship knowing that they cannot forgive. And if someone is saying that, oh, not all the men I know is because you date bum, weak men that come from single mothers. But if you date a real man, real men do not move on from no situation that they feel like that has an issue still there. A real man will have to address the elephant in the room. They cannot sit there and just act like it's not there. In most cases, when you had a mother and a father in the house, who were they more scared of? Daddy, when he spoke up, because daddy wasn't playing. Mommy always talked. But daddy wasn't, he was coming with the drama. And so when daddy got mad, it was lit. So what I'm getting at is when you have a man, you'll see that if he can't communicate or a woman can't communicate, you ain't getting nowhere in no relationship. Right? But again, sometimes when you start talking like this, people want to go against human nature. And they make themselves the standard. When I see some ladies be like, oh, a lot of these men are bums, I'm like, I just hate to see the man you dated. And I gotta say this, guys. This is my ladies and my gentlemen. You know the scariest thing I see a lot is when women compare men to their previous relationship that they walked away from. So you're trying to argue that this relationship was so good, but you were willing to walk away from it. Stop doing that. Because it's a reverse psychology thing. My ex used to do this and my ex, that sounds crazy. No human wants to naturally be, right, compared to anybody. But when you start comparing, you'll start losing. Because before, a woman, I'm going to say this on record, a woman is very smart and strategical when leaving. Men will get so tired to the point where they just leave. So when you see that man walk away, you like, oh my God, he walked because he's just tired of it. But a woman will plan her escape. A woman will plan her escape. A man will get tired to the point where he just walk out. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is because we're broken, we're bleeding on each other. A lot of us don't see that I'm hurt, so therefore I'm going to hurt somebody else. Someone said, can I ask you something? I'm hearing now. You can be in a relationship with a man who's your enemy. No, you can't. Because a relationship is supposed to be two friends. So my question is, when your best friend get all your nerves, how come you're able to have reserve with them? But when the person you're dating, you have no reserve with them. But you expect this person to be willing to give their life for you. A lot of women really genuinely believe that a man should be willing to give his life for them. But again, you can't even give respect to him. And I'm going to give women a gym right now, and I want y'all to hear this good. Men love to be loved, but a man will trade love for respect all day. Let me say that again. Men love to be loved, but men will trade love for respect all day. Men extremely, extremely, extremely value respect. Extremely. Like a woman values respect, but nowhere near to the magnitude of a man. It's a part of our ego. It makes us feel good inside, right? Someone said, but a man speaks down on you with comments. You think you're all that because you have a perfect teeth. That means he's insecure with himself. When a man feels the need to talk down to you like that, it's because he's insecure with himself, right? You think you all that dressed like that because he needs to get his behind in the gym. Chances are you're out of shape. Maybe he ain't got no money. It's something about him that he's projecting. So I'm asking you this question. Is he broke? Is he heavy? Is it something about him that he's not happy with? User, I can't say all the numbers, but user, answer that question. Is he heavy? Is he broke? Because if he's talking like that, it's because he's insecure about himself. Because he's projecting on you. No, he's a higher, that means he's still insecure. That don't mean there's something wrong with him though. Something wrong. Maybe he got a little meat. Maybe he got a little penis. I don't know what it is. It's something that he's projecting. Or are you just so good looking that he knows that somebody could take you from him? So it could be that still. But that's all he has to me he has to me at 40. That says a lot. He has no other value. So his value is control, right? When you look at somebody that loves you as you are and they respect you as you are, that says volumes about who you're dating. But when you got to always be someone you're not to be in a relationship, that means you're on a job. A relationship shouldn't feel like a job. Think about it. You do not show your whole personality at work, right? You do it more in your private time. But imagine dating someone where you have to still act like you at work. You have to code switch in your relationship. So it's weird when you sit there and you like, damn, when my girl around her friends, she don't act like that. She act different around her friends. So then that man should ask himself like, what am I doing to make her not feel comfortable to be herself around me? So when you say, damn, you more funny and you more humorous around your friends to your man, why don't you say, wait, why don't I work on myself to make him feel comfortable to be like that around me? Someone said, how do you feel about the age difference? I'm 27, he's 37. A lot of times that works because a lot of women tend to mature a lot faster than men. And men, I hate to say this on record, but someone gonna get mad like they always do. Men are naturally more attracted to younger women. I feel like men are more attracted to younger women because younger women usually are more vibrant. They more open-minded. They're more optimistic. They give that older guy like a spark. Sometimes when you date older women, they get very complacent and content. Ladies, stop going to bed with your green mask on and your bonnet on and then wondering why this man is losing interest in you. You're already aging. And you can't sit there and say, oh my God, he needs to take me the way I am. Men do not choose to be very visual creatures. We choose not to be. I got a woman mad at me the other day when I said, naturally, that guy, no one take this personal. Please don't take this personal, but I'm being honest. A man naturally, in most cases, do not like women that are very heavy. They don't naturally like it. But a man will date it because of the fact that either A, he may have issues with himself. So he's like, you know what? I can control this. If you take the healthy version of yourself and you take the heavier version of yourself, naturally, I think 99% of men will choose you as the healthier version of yourself. They will be more attracted to that version. You might have great qualities. You're heavier. You may have great qualities. But men are more attracted to very fit women. And I'm just being fair and honest. But some women will be like, I'm big and my man love me. Yeah, he loves you because he accepted you. But I bet you if you go look at his algorithm on his Instagram, he's looking at women that look more fit. Someone said, imagine going out with someone, not know what you're doing on the third date, then they now find out you. I understand. Go a little more into that, Smith. I don't understand it. Imagine going out with someone, not knowing what you're doing on the third date, then now find out you. I understand that. Right, but again, we just being honest. And I say this the same way. And I want all my ladies on my live to answer this question. Would you be comfortable dating a man that's broke? I'm asking the question. And tell the truth. I'm talking about, is it yes or no question? It's not no, don't try to create a circumstance where you would accept it. Yes or no? Would you be comfortable dating a man that's broke, ladies? Would you be comfortable dating him? I'm listening. Someone said no. I respect you for that. Being honest. It's yes or no. Don't give me no circumstance. Someone else says no. Someone else said, Olivia says no. Someone said yes. Wow, you must got a lot of money, Sparkle. Right? Someone said after 24, no. Someone else says no. Right? And I'm going to explain this to you. Right? A lot of the times people that say they'll date somebody broke is because they live off somebody. Right? When you live on your own and all the bills are on you, right? Now you get to see what your relationship really is. A person can't tell me they had a great relationship when they lived in their parents' house and they had the bills cut because the parents was paying the bills. That ain't no regular relationship, right? Think about that. You take you and your girl, you move in your mama's house. Of course, y'all got a relationship that survived because you got your goddamn mother. So technically, if you have a woman that dates a man that don't make money and you got your mother, guess what? Your mother's your husband. Your mother's your boyfriend. Because she's gonna pick up the slack where your mama not gonna pick up. Where your boyfriend not gonna pick up. Let me say that again. If you're dating a man and you move him in the house with you and your mama and you cutting bills, guess what? Your boyfriend is definitely not the man of the house. Your mother's the man of the house. You're just gonna call it what it is. Yeah.
So they're saying in the comments that is he broke or is he broke? They think there's different levels of broke. So verify your meaning of broke.
I think that's all relative to self. Some people think making $60,000 a year is broke. But when the average person in America makes only $50,000 a year. Look what I just said to you. The average person in America makes $50,000 a year. But most people think that's broke. But you want to hear something funny? When you see average people thinking that average people aren't made for them, then we have a major problem. Look at this statement again, T. You got average people thinking they're better than average people, not dating average people when they're average people themselves. We just talking reality. You have average-looking men looking for the highest level of women, and this is the problem. Then you have a woman who's average-looking or average with her finances, average at best. Rather than finding someone that loves her for her, she wants the most elite men. And 9 out of 10 times, the most elite men aren't attracted to them. You know the NBA has about 300 players? 400 on a good day. 400 players. One of the ladies said to me the other day on a freaking consulting, I want an NBA player. And I said, sister, when you look at the women that these guys date, they're very, 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 very attractive women. I said, are you very, very, very attractive? She said, yes. Then she said, you want to see me? She clicks the you know how you could be on live? And you know how you could be on FaceTime, Leash, and then you don't show it? And then she showed me herself, and I said, you not that. And she took it personal. And I'm like, yo, I know I'm not Boris Kojo. I know I'm not him. But I know I'm a fairly attractive guy, right? That knows if I put myself together financially, I become more attractive. When you don't understand logic, that means you're being delusional. And the worst thing, a person at a later age in life can be delusional. Someone said the other day, and it scared me. She's almost 60 years old. She said, I'm waiting for my right man. And then had the nerve to tell me that there's a guy that's in her friend zone that's been her family, been her friend 30, 40 years. He's been trying to date her. But she don't see him that way. And I said, for 30, 40 years, you've been ignoring your goddamn husband. I said, it's so sad that you believe that this guy, he don't want you get abused in relationships. This guy don't want you get tortured. He don't want you get cheated on. He don't want you get heartbroke after heartbroke after heartbroke after heartbroke. And he stayed there the whole goddamn time. The problem is we go after what we're attracted to. Attraction will not preserve a relationship. Respect and friendship is what preserve relationships. There's a bunch of women who putting guys in friend zones that they don't date because he don't look like what they wanted to look like aesthetically. But mentally, he is the guy for them. So you willing to date all of these ragamuffin dudes, and then you missing the guy that's there for you every single day. That shit, that's sad. That's sad. But this is our culture, right? And then you wait, and then you wait. And I think those people that's waiting all them time, they're gonna marry Jesus. Because the reality is it's not gonna work. We just gotta be honest. But again, society tells you that Mr. Right when you Mrs. Wrong. You got your own issues. You want Mrs. Right when you're Mr. Wrong. That's kind of scary. But a lot of people don't want to hear it because we're so caught up in our feelings. Never shoot the messenger. Allow the message to marinate. Food always tastes better when you let it soak and marinate and season it. So sometimes when someone adds seasoning to the recipe, taste it before you say it's spicy. So some people don't want to let the brew marinate first. So they automatically jump because of how it made me feel. I feel like he taking shots at women. No, I think women don't want to hear the truth. I think you hard on men. No, I think men need to be hard on themselves. Let's grow the hell up. Let's grow the hell up. And stop looking for a pass and a damn participation award in life. And let's go after the realities and focus on getting out of our delusion. Social media will feed your timeline anything your mind wants to keep hearing, ultimately keeping you stuck in a box. There are a lot of people that's stuck in a damn box because all they do is sit on social media and listen to everything they want to hear. Social media is like the friend that tell you everything you want to hear. Social media is like that friend that tell you everything you want to hear. Because your timeline will keep feeding your mind exactly what you want to hear. Never growing the hell up. Some of us need to grow the hell up. I had a woman tell me the other day she don't need a husband and she don't even got a damn job. But if I bet my life, if I take her Instagram and her TikTok algorithm and go look at it, you don't need this man, he need you. This is what we're doing, guys. This is what we're doing. And I say this on record before I get out of here today. Where there's no family, there will never be no wealth building. I'm going to tell y'all something. Now, I'm going to ask y'all something on my live. There's a woman who went through a breakup with a man, decided to move all the way to Florida, away from the father, and they have a child together. Do you think she made that decision because it was the best thing for her, or do you think she made that decision because it was the best thing for their child? I'm asking everybody in my life, who do you think she made that decision for? This is how immature women are. I hate to say this. So you think the best decision, she made that decision was because of for her child? For someone said for her, everyone's saying her. You tell this big old rusty grown woman that you made that decision because it was for you. She goes, no, it's not. I'm doing what's best for my child. No, because if you was doing what's best for your child, you would keep that child next to that goddamn father even if y'all break up. Because I'm going to tell you something. If you take a pizza and you cut it in half and you separate it, it is not whole. And when a child doesn't have mommy and don't have daddy, that child is not whole. Ultimately walking through life trying to figure themselves out because you're supposed to find yourself in the process of learning your parents. You learn yourself. It is easier when you have to. Otherwise, you will have a level of insecurity. And that's what you're seeing a lot of people. Coming from broken homes, being broken people who are very insecure. I watched a woman move all the way to Florida talking about everyone in my life. You heard what they said? Is for her. But if you tell this big old rusty woman it's crap, I don't give a damn. I'm doing what's best for my child. No, you're not. You're doing it for yourself. Grow up. Grow the hell up. Stop watching social media. Social media will make you ultimately make the poorest decisions of your life. Till next time, guys. Don't let that go over your head.